Hello everybody, welcome again to Stockbridge. Now this is the place where I did my 55k 35-mile run on my birthday on 22nd November. I'll put a link up there below somewhere. So yeah, today is a long run. It's just as windy as it was yesterday, if not more windy. I think it might finally stop raining, but I need to try and do 20 miles. I'm not sure I'm going to have enough time to do that. I've got the old Theragun out, because if you saw my video, I did the Yasu 800, it's not the Lasso with a Y, it's Bert Yasu with a Y. I was getting a bit sort of locked up in the left hip and back of the thigh. So between that session yesterday afternoon and now, I'll be trying to stretch out a bit using the Theragun to get a bit of loosen up in there. So see how we go. Obviously today is not going to be about doing any sort of performance, just going to grind this one out, get some miles in if I can. Okay, it's about a 7-mile loop, so I can certainly get 2 loops in and I'll see how I feel. And the shoe of choice today is the Next V1s. These are actually the pair that I used in the Seville Marathon, so they've done 2:56 marathon. Alright, so lap done. It was a bit laboured. I think my hamstring's my problem on my left actually, but so the next percents are quite good. I'm going about sort of 8:28, 30 pace, quite easy. Just been rather cautious. It's a bit muddy on the old railway bit, which goes on for a bit over a mile, but not too bad the next percent. They are looking a bit dirty, I have to say. But this sort of waterproof bit here keeps them covered, and I think I've got half a twig here. So I'm just heading out now on my second lap. I think I'll do another whole lap, same way. I'll take the camera this time, show you a bit of the sight. It's got enough light for an easy second lap. Then I'll see how I feel. I was going to do 20, but I think that might be a bit risky, both in terms of the light and also my leg. In fact, if I get it on this second lap, I'll be doing well. Right, let's get going then. So Stockbridge is basically on the River Test, so it's quite flat around here. Although if you sort of leave Stockbridge, it really goes quite sharply uphill. So if that hill up there, which is the A30 towards Horsebridge, if you can see that on camera, it gets very steep very quickly. But we'll be turning left here. In fact, here's the River Test here. So quick look at that. So behind me is the loop to Longstock, which we did the short lap on the 55 birthday run. What we're going to do now is, this is the long loop. So I'm turning here into Longstock, going across the other side of the A30 towards Salisbury. And there's a couple of thatched cottages up here. Now here's one for a start. Drover's house. So it doesn't take too long this road before we get into sort of open countryside. This is a fairly quiet country lane. It's the busiest one on the route, but we'll get this out of the way. It's about 2 miles on this one. So the River Test is on my left. Just sit through the trees there maybe. We'll pass over that later. I think it's interesting of all the super shoes when people say it's a race shoe. Well, it's very much dependent on what is your race pace, isn't it? So, you know, not being sort of big-headed, but doing the other way around, not to my race pace. And yeah, I'm wearing a race shoe and feeling it's good for the job. So, just goes to show that, you know, perhaps anybody would benefit from these shoes. And I don't think that necessarily the elites would benefit more. I think if anything, the sort of the more slower runners, should we say, might benefit more, because traditionally you used to wear like cushioned sort of daily trainers, like one of the Asics numbers or something like that. And yet when you put these on, they maybe feel like you're putting sort of rockets on your feet. So yeah, big difference there. That is an old barn, minus its top. A couple of years ago, that's where I filmed the Adios 5 versus, what was I doing? Adios 5 versus SL20, I think. So that was a while ago. Amazing how these shoes sort of come and go, and ones you think are quite recent, haven't used for ages. Houghton Mill, I think that was it, or was it Hall? I have to check. We're now coming into the village of Houghton. So you always get some nice little interesting quirky houses on these lanes. It's a slight rise now on the road, but if you look to the side of the road, it goes straight from here. So you do get the odd car coming past, so you just need to be slightly careful. All post boxes in the middle of nowhere. I don't think there's any telephone boxes on here. Most telephone boxes now, the old red ones, seem to be converted into sort of second-hand bookshops and stuff like that, or people have bought them to put in their gardens. My uncle famously, rest his soul, he famously bought about 4 of them, and I think then when he died it was quite an effort to actually get rid of them. Anyway, I can see some walkers up ahead. I think I'll catch them up soon. So it's sort of like they're not walkers, they're actually on horses, they're actually riding. Right. Not quite sure where their stables are. Must be a way away, I think. Heading towards the village of Houghton. Bit of an old railway vibe here. We've got a telephone box, talk about red letter telephone boxes, and a garage sign, and looking a bit like an old railway station. So there's me saying no to red telephone boxes, and one turns up straight away. Now this place intrigues me. Studio Yoga and Stockbridge, some sort of out of town sort of complex. Yeah, yoga. So I tried yoga a couple of years ago before lockdown, and I must say I didn't really like it. The fact that I sort of like looked stupid, but there was a class a lady was doing locally in Claygate for basically old sort of stiff has-been runners and cyclists like me. So basically all these sort of 40s and 50s cyclists and runners used to turn up this yoga session and see if we didn't try and kill ourselves doing these sort of things. And the lady was just so much more flexible than all the rest of us put together. But I'm not sure it helped or not really, but I think the way I was willing, but I haven't been back for a couple of years now. Maybe I should. $30 miles an hour coming into Houghton, 40 going out of it. I don't think there's any danger of that today, is there? Right, so what's this place? This is Houghton Lodge Gardens, and you can even get a bus here, maybe in the summer. So can you see that their garden and tea rooms open April to September, so not open yet. So wedding venue, accommodation. Oh, I didn't know there was a bit of accommodation here. I'll have to tell Sue that in case we stay here, we can't get anywhere else. Anyway, yeah, a place to visit maybe for cream tea in the summer. Right, let's crack on. Oh, the post box there just passed. Right, so we've got a little downhill here. I can certainly feel the wind on this bit. I think the wind was kind of going to be helping going back. It's sort of calmed down a bit, I would say. Alright, putting a cyclist here. I kind of look the part to know with my bright yellow top. They think they do help, but yeah. So this bit was a bit of a pain when we did this loop the other way in the 55k run. Basically did 4 laps of this course and then 2 laps of the short course. So I might do a lap of the short course if I feel alright. I feel a bit looser actually. I took my phone out of the pocket. Maybe that's helped a bit. I'm just carrying this camera. But yeah, it's a nice little downhill here. And I think the wind has kind of come around and we haven't got so much into it. But a little step in and I'll show you Houghton, nice little village. So it's certainly an area for thatched cottages here. Soon to got loads. There's a place called Wherwell, not too far away, where basically every house is an old thatched cottage. And they used to have an old railway there, so I often like to go and have a look through that. That's a more normal one. So going up to a pub now, which is actually owned by a relative of Lee Tibbett, who's the dad of Joseph, who I did the Pegasus review with when he's the youngster in the kids version. I was wearing the Run Shield ones. So yeah, this is the Boot Inn. Never seems to be open when I run past. Then behind us you've got a war memorial and Church Lane going up to a church. Now Church Lane is a bit of a bugger in when you're doing city strides, because you've got to do every church lane in a city, in inverted commas. So if you're doing, say, the whole of, I think this is Test Valley, you'd have to do every village with a church lane in it, or a church road, which could be like sort of 50 of them, so it'll take you a while to do all them. This is Yew Tree Cottage. We actually stayed in here once. I'm not sure if they're still doing B&B, but that sort of barn thing, you can see that there, that's where we actually stayed. So yeah, I'll have to find out if they're still doing it. Yew Tree Barn, so that's probably the sort of effectively the annex to the hotel, to the house, I suppose. Right, on we go. So yeah, another thatched cottage. As I say, they're everywhere. We've now run 9 miles, so even if I sort of collapse in a heap now, at least I've got a reasonable running. I have to get back to Stockbridge somewhere about sort of halfway around the loop here, so about as far away from the car as I could be. But there is a possible shortcut I could take if need be. So certainly a mixture of old and new houses here. Quite like that one, but very modern style compared to a thatched one, isn't it? And there's another thatched one, looking sort of rather disused, I would say. Or am I being a disservice to them? And here's another one. And another one. Siemens Road behind me there is like a tarmac road for a little bit, then it goes into like a track. I'm gonna go at muddy. I think I did that last time. I think in the Vomero 16s as well, testing out the off-road capabilities. Not so bad in a black sheep, but we'll save that one for another day. So this here is a path that goes across the river and is a potential shortcut. It meets up with the old railway that will kind of run the long way around the road. So this bit basically cuts off about maybe a mile, something like that, but we'll carry on because we're doing okay. It's like a new development in here, Houghton Farm Close, so maybe that'll appear on an OpenStreetMap. I need to go and run it. I've run up to the barrier, but probably the houses will go in. Don't know if it'll be private though, so you never quite know till it's there. So exciting development of 3, 4 and 5 bedroom houses, only 2 remaining, so if you want one, it has to be quick. Quite like this house as well. What's this one called? Horsebridge house, very modern, but yeah, nice house. Do you do this? Do you go out runs and think, oh, I wouldn't mind living there, or I wouldn't want to live here, or stuff like that? It's kind of why I come out to these sort of places, because you get to see sort of different parts of the world. And here's yet another one. This one's clearly nearly finished. That's a different, it's kind of like the one back there, isn't it? The sort of the Swedish sort of wood style. I think I prefer the brick one in a way, but is that a house or a workplace? Not sure. Contrast that with a very traditional sort of old house, and then yet another thatched cottage up ahead. And we do get a bus stop here and a post box, so not too far out the sticks. Also around here is kind of like where the Waitrose estate, the Leckford estate I think it's called, have to check. So now, there we are, 2 3/4 back to Stockbridge, Horsebridge 1 mile. Now Horsebridge is where I stayed, which is an old railway station, and the lady's got an old carriage which got some tracks in the old platform. They live in the sort of the old station house and they rent it out, so I put some photos up of there, so I'll be dying to put those in a video. But being a running YouTuber rather than really a railway one, kind of different audience, but I know some of you like some of my old railway stuff, so yeah, I'll shoehorn that in somewhere. And we're now heading towards that, just the last few houses in Houghton, and then we'll have a quick look at the river as we go over it. So you can see it's pretty flat around here because it goes parallel to a river and not too far away, and a railway as well. I thought this place here was deserted. It was quite imposing, but there was a guy putting stuff in a skip earlier, so maybe they're renovating it. Yeah, it looks like maybe they're renovating it, doesn't it? Oh, definitely someone in there because the door's open. So I better not sort of say, oh, it's deserted, and then march in. So here's the river on the left here. Looks rather high, doesn't it? You can see that. I'm going over a little bridge now. Just stop to look here. And then the other side, quite fast moving water. I think you'd certainly know about that if you found that in that this time of year, wouldn't it? But yeah, we won't be doing that with a bit of luck. We actually get a little bonus bridge to mark the end of the village. This is a very sort of stream. That one's hardly moving, is it? I presume this feeds into the main river Tass somewhere along there. I presume further up there. All sorts of tributaries coming out of rivers, aren't they? Okay, so that was a tour of Houghton. So now we're heading towards Horsebridge. It's about a 5-minute run on a sort of country lane, fairly like this one, and then we're going to turn onto the old railway, which I'm going to have a bit of fun on the mud for a bit and show you how sometimes the X% aren't too bad on mud, as long as you don't take caution to the wind. And yet another bridge, another little bit of water that we're going over here. In fact, another one. So that's 4 bridges in a row, isn't it? There we go. Oh, there's one more. 5 bridges. This is actually for good fishing territory there, so you've got private grounds, no fishing. Never really noticed this one before. It's quite nice actually to stop off on the way, notice a little bit. So you've got 5 bridges over rivers of various widths, some basically streams hardly going. This one is kind of definitely the biggest one, apart from the main river Tass. I have to look at the map, show where they all converge later. What I find in my 35-mile, 55k run is that you had to sort of stop between laps just to take on some water and, or Lucasade Sport, actually in my case, not water, and a gel. I didn't like to run with the gels, didn't see the point because we were doing these laps. But you don't want to stop for too long because you just stiffen up. So even then, it's sort of a little stop just to look at the river and need to get going on. And yet another bridge, number 6. Just a bit of water there, isn't there? Right, full steam ahead now to the Sprat Winkle Line, which is the old railway. So here we are at the Tess Way, which is actually the Sprat Winkle Line, which used to be an old railway that used to go from basically Andover down to Romsey. Interestingly, both Andover and Romsey still have stations, but used to go through Stockbridge, where I came from, had a station. There was virtually nothing to see there apart from some old station signs in a school. Nothing actually of the station to see. But Horsebridge, if we turn around, is literally about a quarter of a mile down there. So I won't go down there now, it'll be a bit muddy, but I'll post up some pictures from our birthday visit when we actually stayed there. And so you can sort of see here the railway must have sort of gone down. They sort of built up this embankment, haven't they, clearly since then. And then down there again, you got the river there again as well. Rivers everywhere here. And so we're going down there. It's a bit muddy, a lot muddier than it was in November when it was actually bone dry, but I survived. It's about a mile and a bit down here. Not a huge amount to see of old railway relics, but a couple of old bridges and stuff. So we'll chug along and see where we go. Get a sign though, I'll read that one later. Definitely slightly harder work on this sort of muddy bit. It's not too bad. Just need to be a bit careful on sections where there's a bit of water and it gets the softest bit. But yeah, we're doing all right. I think we've done about 10 miles now, so I'm starting to feel that this was a worthwhile run, even though I'm not really running properly. So maybe I need to cover a day or two easy, or rest day completely. I haven't had a rest day since about October, I think, or something like that. So I'm probably due one. I think I'm just getting a bit fatigued. So you can definitely see the old railway vibe here, with some sort of slats here. Presumably there must have been double track here at one point, I think, over this, I have to say. I think it was 1965 the last train went along here, which is the year before I was born. So Beeching, I think, did most of his acts in 66, which was the year I was born. So a lot of these old railways were kind of technically there when I was just being born. Maybe we just closed actually, and probably started to get overgrown. So yeah, it's a fair old time ago now, isn't it? 55 years ago that all this happened. That feels like old, but yeah, still keen. Just feel a bit of slipping when you put the next sets down into some of these muddy bits. Here's a better view of the river. Must have been quite a sight to behold if you're on the train here, looking at this river as you were going along. Obviously, if you brought on a train, you'd be raised up, wouldn't you? You'd seem to be able to see more. Perils are being sought. You need to watch yourself when there's some fallen trees. I'm just about creeped under this one here, but Sewell says I'll get something down from the tallest shelf in the kitchen, and yeah. Never made a high jump for a basketball player. I don't think it was quite sprightly enough, but I could certainly reach up tall. Where the path from Houghton comes out, so I've now exhausted all my shortcuts and route one back to the car. So there's a bit more on this old railway track, and there's a bit where we divert onto the road in a few minutes' time. So this bit's always a bit confusing because you think the railway sort of goes straight on, but it doesn't. It sort of bends to the right here, so you can see the Testway sign. Must have been a slight sort of the rail must have come through here, I think, at some point. And we just realigned it slightly for the path. Good to see some other runners. That's the first runners I've seen actually. I've done about 12 miles now. On my right here, there's a road that starts to run parallel, which will pick up. It's a very narrow country lane, but as this is getting a bit muddy and it's a nice lane, I usually divert onto it. We'll come to that crossing very shortly. Okay, this is the bit I mentioned. So back up there continues back to Stockbridge on the Testway, the old railway. I'm going to take this lane here under this little fence here. Clearly back in the day that was a crossing for into the farmland, and the emergency access keep clear, so sort of quite clear, the distinction between the two, but they're so parallel. It's only a sort of obvious way to actually connect two roads. You go that way, but the problem is it sort of gets quite steep quite quickly. It goes towards Kingstonbourne and it's very hilly there, so yeah, as much as I would like to do a bit of hill trading, well yeah, maybe not. I like to keep on the flat bit and also the dry bit, so this bit's kind of ideal because it's slightly uphill now, but we've got the wind behind, and this is a great surface. It's only really enough for one car's width. So when a car comes by, it's always that tricky minute, especially if they're going the same way as you. Do you actually stop, maybe upset your interval and let them go? Or do you think, oh, they just think, oh, bloody runner, get out of the way, I'm a motorist. So yeah, just have to be careful, but so peaceful actually around here. So I think what I do, get back, as soon as I get back, I'll have done 2 laps, which will be about 14 miles. If I then do a lap of the shorter course, which is about 3.5, I think that perhaps will do me. So I wanted to go up to 70 for the week with a 17 miler at least. I was hoping to get 20 in, but I think with this leg, I've kind of made this lap into a bit of a tourist expedition, showing all the sights of the loop, rather than actually churning out a marathon pace run. But I do feel a lot looser now, so maybe there's an element of just being on your feet for a couple of hours helps. Just worried that I'll feel really stiff tomorrow. So actually now when we come out of the tree cover, we suddenly get a lot more light. So I've definitely got a good half an hour in, I think, to get another maybe four miles before it gets dark. And what was that bleep? Just looking what that bleep was for. Yeah, that was a beat coming up for 12 miles. So yeah, already a good innings. If I get past 15, it'll be the longest run in this block. So even though I've been doing 70 miles a week since November, I haven't actually done any long runs yet, which is a slight concern, but this pace feels nice and comfortable. Even talking, I'm only low 120s, 121, 122, and I was below 110, I think, on the first lap. Yeah, so right. Nice. I'm not sure if this road has a name actually. I have to look it up. But yeah, I love these little lanes because you can, well, you can take them any position because you have to, because you know you can't sort of go to the side or go on a pavement because they're so narrow. I mean, this will be like a 3-lane running track, maybe not even that. Never noticed before how high those buildings are in the air. I'm not even sure you get up there, presumably through there. Or maybe not. Not sure how you even get up there. Maybe I'll see a road to that later on. Oh, can you hear that wind? It suddenly came to me. Right, this is a little sharp little descent here, which when we go the other way, certainly wakes you up. I won't actually go that way, I think, this time. We're about a mile now from Stockbridge, so let's carry on this lane. Ah, here's obviously how you get up to that house, which is way up there. Although I'm not sure even how this works. There's some barriers there. Look at this sign, I'm intrigued. Oh, okay, looks like you need to ring up and the barriers will come down. So yeah, well, they're hilly up there. Maybe good for hill ropes, but not if it's private land though. Right, let's crack on. We'll see how this car negotiates me. We just try and steam through or really wait. That's the question. I'm going up to another bridge, yay! No, just not wide enough for him to get by. That's good. I don't really want these sort of contrasts with cars, really. They're going to win, aren't they? On my left here is the car park for the test way without having to actually go into Stockbridge. So you can park up here and kind of walk into Stockbridge, or just go where I've gone, either on the old railway testway itself or on this road. I've seen why I've done that road. It's so small that you probably don't need to. Oh, I've not noticed that before. Where's that go? Probably a footpath. Yeah, because you see on my right here, it's really sort of vertical. So when you come on that road, there's a main road kind of up there somewhere, and you really swoop down. So it must have been quite challenging to build the railway through here, because naturally off the river it's quite hilly, and there's a few old sort of pits, I think, which I think they've now finally closed, but obviously there was an industry with that back in the day. Oh, another barn. This one looks a bit more used, doesn't it? Maybe a more modern barn. Not sure I'd fancy sleeping under there though. It's a bit cold, hardly any cover, is there? What are all those S's for, I wonder? Not sure. Yeah, this is the road I was on about, so it goes back up there. You can see how steep that is. I don't fancy running out that one. And then we're almost into Stockbridge now, past the church here. The War Memorial. Now where this roundabout is here was basically the site of Stockbridge station, so the track bed used to come from where are we, over there, that road over there, and then carry on basically down the main road, and then back towards Andover. So yeah, I think basically the railway used to go straight through the middle of this roundabout, which obviously didn't exist back in the day. I'm not sure it went over it, or maybe it went over it, I'll have to go and check. And that's the school where, let's see if we can find a picture, where they've got all like the station plate names of all the stations on the old route. So quite good to check off how many you can actually see, how many are still there, etc, etc. And we're at the White Hart pub here. We've been in there a few times. It's the opposite end of the Stockbridge to where we normally park at the Three Cups. Yeah, the old railway expressway comes up down there. It's about 150 yards down there, if that's it. And then it would have gone straight through that roundabout there. There's quite a few pubs in Stockbridge. There's another one here, the Vine. I don't know if I've ever been in the Vine. I'm not sure if it's even still a pub, is it? You got the cop behind it, which I'll go and pick up a paper later from the suit. And this place used to be the Lily Langtry. Now, Lily Langtry was some 1920s or so sort of famous lady. I've forgotten what it's titled, but it's no longer called here. You can see the old Lily sign, can't you? And it's kind of used to be a tea shop, and now it's sort of a whiskey shop. So yeah, probably more Sue's line than mine. On the left here is Time and Tide. Obviously now shut, but they sort of do sort of deli and can get a coffee and that. Here's the main hotel in Stockbridge, the Grosvenor. Been in there for cream tea, not actually stay there though. And then coming down to the town hall here. There's the church, if you can hear me over the wind. Oh, this is the only bit of the 7-mile loop where you feel like you're sprinting straight into it, but this is kind of how like it was at Basics like yesterday on the track session. Yeah, one bit was nice behind, another bit I think, oh, I've had enough here. 1810. So we're seeing that was sort of the old town hall. A couple of telephone boxes, I think they're working. And then you've got Woodfire, which is where we went for our post-run cake on my birthday. Oh, this is a famous shop for fishing sort of stuff and stuff like that. And then here's the Three Cups. So 2 laps done. So yeah, just enough time to do another loop, I think. And then here's another pub, the Greyhound. I don't know what the old Owl and Pussycat looks like. It was a pub at one point, but I think that's a closed shop now. The Greyhound we've also been in for teas and stuff. Right, so I'll get on this last loop, and I think I'll put the camera down to concentrate on that, and we'll see you later. So hopefully I'll get through this run. I'll report back for a little summary on Strava later. Okay, well thanks for coming along. I hope you find this interesting. A bit of a different one from normal, but sometimes on my own I get a bit bored, so I've got to talk to myself on the camera. So I hope you enjoyed this little tour, and see you next one then. Bye.